The third assignment in Writing 391 is the literature review. The literature review is to be 8 to 10 pages, and at least 10 sources should be used as you synthesize the literature. In writing a literature review, you select a focused topic. The annotated bibliography that you wrote might have been on a fairly broad topic, and you'll examine the articles that you've collected for the annotated bibliography and determine a more focused topic. Perhaps you wrote your annotated bibliography, for example, on the topic of teaching English as a second language. This is a very broad topic. You decide to focus it on the topic of teaching ESL to adult students. This is still very broad, but you can focus it more on the teaching of grammar to ESL adult students. There's disagreement among scholars as to whether grammar should be taught to adult non-native speakers of English and how it should be taught. This would be a good topic for a literature review. You may find, as a result of having selected this topic, that some sources for your annotated bibliography apply to this focused topic, but you may find that some sources do not apply to this focused topic. The annotated bibliography is the beginning of your research journey, not the end. After having written annotations of 12 sources for the annotated bibliography, you determine a focused topic and explore more sources, do more research. As you conduct more research, you find categories or themes into which the literature can be divided. So, to illustrate this process, you started off considering the topic of teaching ESL. You focused it to the topic of teaching ESL to adults, and you focused it even more to the topic of teaching grammar to adult ESL students. As you peruse the literature on this topic, you might find that some studies show that the teaching of grammar is effective. You might find other studies that show that the teaching of grammar is not effective. And you might find other studies that show mixed results as to the value of teaching grammar. You might divide your literature review into these three categories and synthesize the literature on each of these three categories. Let's assume you're interested in the topic of computing. That's a very broad topic, but you focus on cloud computing. This is a popular topic today, but it's still very broad for a literature review. But you could focus it even more on cloud computing for mobile devices. You would peruse the literature and find themes or categories into which you could divide the literature on this topic. Millennial students are students born after 1980. There's a lot of research in the scholarly literature that talks about how these students are different types of students than previous generations of students. They grew up with the internet and with lots of other technology, with other situations in their lives that cause them to have different learning styles, some scholars say, than other students have. But there's a debate about this in the literature. You could choose this as your topic for a literature review. Well, that's a broad topic. You could focus on millennial college students. Millennial students who enter college, do they have different learning styles? Are there different traits that they exhibit? But this could be a very broad topic as well. You could focus instead on digital literacy among millennial college students. Is their treatment of digital images different from that of previous generations of students? This is just another idea of how you could focus a topic for a literature review. Bullying in schools is a very popular topic, but it's a very broad topic. You might focus on steps being taken in preventing bullying in schools. But this is fairly broad as well. For a literature review, you might talk about roles of faculty and roles of administrators in preventing bullying in schools. These are just some ideas on how to approach a topic for a literature review. We wish you the best as you pursue this final paper in Writing 391.